Welcome back. This is episode 2 of my ComputerCraft challenge. The plan for today, as it is currently dark, I really want to get some charcoal so I can make some torches for inside my house. But the main plan for today is I made this little, oops, my caps lock is on. Made this little program called place. And right now it's just turtle.place. That's what I've been using rather than going into the Lua prompt and actually having it to type in, turtle.place in order to get it to place things. This way I can just type place and it will attempt to place. But I want to make a more robust version of that program and possibly combine it with just a simple Go program that will allow me to have more flexibility with the Go program and really be able to move the turtle around without having to worry about opening up the Lua prompt and typing in commands by hand. So that's what I'm going to start working on right now. And as soon as the sun comes up, maybe I will figure out a way to go get some more wood so that we can start making charcoal. So first thing, I want to create a new directory. I'm going to put this in users, and we will cd to users, and I'm going to be just going to do lowercase. I'm going to be the only user since this is a single player world, but I'm going to do it this way rather than just creating a single directory. I don't really have a good reason for that, but that's what I feel like doing. And if for some reason I wanted to create a separate directory with a different set of programs, I would be able to do that. So I'm going to create a Go program. And the reason I'm putting this in its own directory is so that I'm not overriding the default Go program. I still want to have access to that, but I am going to make my own version and call it the same thing. This way it's saved in a different directory and I can use it and still have access to the old program by calling it from outside this directory. So we're going to start here by taking user input from the command line. I need to decide what type of commands I'm going to allow as input. So first of all, I know that I want to accept numbers for, if I want to say, for example, go forward 3, I would type forward 3 and then hit enter. And I don't want to have to tell it, every single number. So I think the first check I'm going to do is I'm just going to check for if the number, well, let's see. How do I want to do this? I'm going to type up a quick outline and we'll be right back. So I have input this list of valid arguments for the program, the first thing I want to do is check to make sure that all of the user inputs are valid, because I don't want to type in a long string of actions and have one of them be not valid and get the turtle stuck somewhere by saying, go up 10, forward 10, and then misspell forward and not be able to access the turtle. So I'm going to create a for loop that will run through all of the inputs and make sure that they are all valid before we start running the program. So that's what this for loop here does. I'm looping through the entire length of the targs array and checking each input to make sure that it's valid. And if it's not valid, I'm just printing, whatever the input was is not a valid input, and then returning from the program. So for the next step, I'm going to actually write out the logic for each of the valid inputs that I have up here. And then I will handle the special case for the numbers. So I've just written the main part of the function here. Basically, we're going to loop through all of the inputs and just call a function from a table of functions, whatever the argument that was passed in from the command line is. And then we're going to pass as a parameter to that function whatever the next input from the command line was. And then I've gone ahead and written the forward function up here in this function table. And inside this function, we're doing some error checking to see, can we convert the value passed to the function to a number? If we can, then we use that number to do the action that many times and then return from the function. Otherwise, we just go ahead and do that action once. I'm going to go ahead now and just set up the rest of these functions in the function table for all of these arguments. I need one for back, left, right, up, down, place, place down, and place up. And I'm going to do that real fast, and we will be right back. All right, now I have created a function for each of the possible inputs in this function table. They're all basically the same, so I'm not going to go through all of them individually, but you can see for this back function, it's all the same except for in the count loop, it will do turtle.back rather than turtle.forward. The call is different, and at the end, turtle.back call as well. Obviously, it's the same for all these, the left, the right, the up, the down, just changes which turtle API is actually being called. And this may not make a lot of sense if you're just thinking, hey, you could achieve the exact same thing by just having a function that calls the API based on what the input is. Yes, that's true, but I'm doing it this way specifically because now each one of these functions is independently editable. So if I want to change the functionality of the up input for some reason in the future, I will be able to come in here and edit this function to, say, have it go up and then turn left each time it goes up. That's probably not a very practical example, but I can do that without changing the functionality of every single input. The only other thing is I will probably be expanding this to allow it to dig as well. So eventually I will add more inputs and more functions, and being able to add more functions independently of whatever I want it to do for not just going forward or back or turning is going to save me a lot of time in the long run. I don't know exactly where I'm going to take this program, but I do have a few ideas for its future development. And setting things up this way just makes everything a lot easier. Also, having typed out all of these functions by hand now, I'm really feeling the hurt not having the ability to copy paste here. So that project is probably going to be coming up real soon because, as you can see, this is all basically exactly the same function, just typed out, 5 different times. So being able to copy paste right there would really make a big difference in time savings. So right now, I think I'm going to save this and exit the program and do a little bit of testing. See if we can just do some simple things with it. It is daytime. I want to hurry up and finish this program before I actually take it outside and start using it in the real world. So I'm gonna do a few quick tests, see if I can go back. Okay, this is what I was kind of expecting. See if we can debug this real fast. All right, so it looks like I'm missing a closing bracket for a table. What does it want here? That bracket is there. What is the problem? All right, let me debug this real fast and I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. I really don't know what the problem was there. If any of you do, please let me know in the comments. But as far as I can figure, it just had something to do with how I'm entering these values into the table. I don't think it liked the way I'm putting these strings in, so I just went ahead and did it in the strict form, putting the brackets around all of these, and that seems to have fixed the problem. So let's go ahead and save it like this, and we can go ahead and start our test. Also, while I was debugging that, I realized that I forgot most of these return statements. So every time we called, this function for up, for example, if we supplied a number, then it would go up however many times, and then it would not return here. So it would actually exit that if statement and go up an additional time. So kind of a good thing that we had that little detour, because that could have been pretty nasty little bug to have floating around in our program. So let's exit out of this real fast and start testing again. And like that, it actually did what I wanted it to. I go forward and try chaining them, go back, left, left, forward. It actually did it. Now let's try adding numbers. Go forward 3, left 2, forward 2. 3 is not a valid input. Ah, yes. So I need to check for that at the start. So when we're doing our error checking, say how do we fix this? I would just add a continue statement if this was any other programming language, but Lua does not have a continue statement. So I think I'm going to have to wrap this whole thing in an if block. Let me think about this for a minute and I will get back to you. All right, so I think I have a solution here. I'm just going to AND this with not to number for the input, because if it is a number, then this will return a number, and number, anything in Lua, anything that is not nil or false, return is evaluated as true. So if it's not a valid input, and it's not a number, then it will print this error and return. Otherwise, this should work. The only other thing that I think might cause a problem, which is part of the reason I'm testing, is in a normal programming language, I say normal, but in a programming language with traditional arrays, you can't index a value that is not in the array. However, I believe in Lua, this will actually work. This is just going to pass nil to the function, which should be fine because passing nil to the toNumber function is just going to cause it to return nil when then count is going to be nil. And so if count is nil, then this is going to evaluate to false, and we'll just come down here and do turtle.down. So this should work the way I want it to. And obviously there are no functions for the numbers. So I think, actually, yeah, that's going to be a problem. So because there's no function for a number, this is going to return nil, and it's going to throw an error when we try to call nil. So I'm going to have to think of a way to fix that. I think actually what we're going to have to do is just wrap this in an if block. Say if args I, if toNumber I. So we want this to be not a number. Then we will do this function. Otherwise, we will just skip it and go to the next one. So that should be everything that we have to do to make that work. So let's go ahead and save it and test it out. See if we can actually put numbers in now. So go forward 3, left 2, forward 2. So when we execute that, it should end up in this block facing the opposite direction. And that looks like that's exactly what happens. So let's try now having it place a block, forward, back to place, back, place up. Let's try this. And that looks like it is functioning properly. So now we have this go function that we can use to get around places more easily and actually place down blocks. Really the only main two advantages to this Go program as it stands right now, and I'm just looking to see, there are some mobs out here, but we'll go take care of those shortly. The two main advantages that this program has on the first, or I should say the default program. Oh, and it's just turning to nighttime. I really need to go see if I can get some sheep and make a bed so that we can skip through the night, because now I'm gonna have to sit here and wait till daytime. But let me finish my thought here real fast. The two main advantages that this program has over the default Go is one, the ability to place blocks inside the command, inside that same program. And also, if, for example, I say go forward 3 times and there's this block here blocking it, with this program, go forward 3, it will just try to go forward 3 times. And since it can't, it's just going to stop, and it's going to exit out of the program. Once it is tried, it's not going to just sit there and wait until it can't anymore. This can be potentially dangerous if there's something blocking the way, and I will add extra functionality for that in the future. But as it stands right now, I would like to have this feature because I want to be able to say, go forward 10 if I just want it to go forward until it hits the next thing and not have to manually terminate the program when I get up to the robot because, I miscounted. So now that we have this, I am going to go ahead and wait through the night, and then we're gonna take it outside and cut down some more trees, see if we can get some charcoal going. While I'm waiting for it to be daytime here, I went ahead and made myself a sword, and these guys keep coming to the door, so ow. I've killed a couple things. I killed a creeper and that zombie now. And these guys are getting annoying. Luckily, it's almost daytime. That armor guy is going to be a pain in the butt. Maybe looks like actually that wasn't too bad. I'm going to need to get some food soon. I guess I can eat this rotten flesh if worst comes to worst. But I am starting to run out of time for this episode, so I should probably just do 2. Go ahead and go get some wood and wrap it up. Alright, so real quick, I just had to move the cut tree program into this directory. Now it should work just fine. I didn't have to, I could have called it from the root directory, but I would rather have it here so that I don't have to type / cut tree every time. I'm gonna send him next. Just over here, go like 15 times. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut down a few trees, and when it starts to get dark, I will meet you back inside. I'm just chopping down some trees here, and it looks like there's a bunch of sheep just right here. So I'm gonna come kill some of them and hopefully get some wool and a little bit of meat. That'll take care of 2 of our issues kind of right off the bat here. That way we can skip through the night and have a little bit of food. So I'm gonna go back to chopping some of these trees down, and I might plant a couple of these just here in front of our house. Whoops. You gotta make sure you put in the right direction. That could have been bad. Try and grab this tree real quick. I know it's getting dark, but it's right here. Oops, I didn't want to go up 3. All right, get this guy back in here. And let's have him place some blocks up in there. Just use cobblestone for now. We'll get some of these melting. God. Every time. I think that's where I'm gonna have to call it an episode. We have got some charcoal going now, and we can make a bed. We got a little bit of food. Things are looking up. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.